Ubisoft Montreal is known for major franchises such as Assassin's Creed and Far Cry, and their new up-and-coming big man on campus, Watchdogs. With the Watchdogs sequel on the horizon and a movie adaptation coming eventually, it's natural that we talk about this series. Hi, my name is JD with the Leaderboard, and we're here to tell you all about Aiden Pierce's journey to get out of the grasp of evil technology. We'll even give you some tidbits about the sequel's new hero, Marcus Holloway. So stretch those texting fingers and get ready for some hacking, because we've got 107 facts about Watchdogs. Let's get started. Number 1. Watchdogs is a third-person open-world action game developed by Ubisoft Montreal, the guys and gals behind such games as Splinter Cell, Prince of Persia, and Assassin's Creed. That being said, I think it's safe to say they've got this third-person action game thing down pretty well. Number 2. Watchdogs takes place in an alternate, technologically advanced version of Chicago, prompted by the real-life Northeast blackout of 2003, which in this reality was caused by a hacker and responsible for 11 deaths. The fictitious Bloom Corporation creates a program known as the Central Operating System, which connects everyone and everything in the city, from personal information to security cameras. You know, the kind of thing George Orwell tried to warn us about. Number 3. The game centers on a hacker vigilante named Aiden Pierce. After a hit is placed on him, Aiden's niece Lena is accidentally caught in the crossfire and killed by the hitman. Aiden vows to take down the people responsible by using his own rules while simultaneously protecting the remaining family he has left. Number 4. According to Johnathan Morin, one of the biggest influences on the development of Aiden Pierce was Breaking Bad's Walter White, citing the character's self-centered nature as something he found incredibly appealing. He finds that applying the self-centeredness makes it easier for the player to root for Aiden throughout the entire game, making for a very satisfying outcome. Number 5. Aiden was born in Belfast, Northern Ireland in 1974. When he and his sister Nicole were very young, their mother took them and fled to the US to escape their father, though their life didn't become easier. Growing up in a tough neighborhood, Aiden got involved in criminal activity after joining a gang and learning how to fight and use firearms, establishing himself as a professional thief. Number 6. Ubisoft chose to base the game in Chicago due to its distinct vibe and sense of mystery. It's definitely full of mystery, unsolved ones like Steve Urkel. Number 7. According to Watchdogs creative director Johannes Morin, the team's goal in creating the game was to go beyond the limits of open world games at the time, like Assassin's Creed. They feel they achieved this through the use of information as a plot point, and giving the player the ability to control the city through its signature hacking mechanics. Number 8. Before being called Watchdogs, the name of the game was actually called Nexus. The name was chosen because the word Nexus means the middle point between two connections. In the case of the game, the middle point between two network connections was the hacker, Aiden. Number 9. Nexus even had a logo made that was a visual representation of the game's hacking mechanic. While scrapped in terms of what it was originally intended to be, this logo is still seen in the game, placed on Aiden's bandana. Number 10. While there are rumors stating that the developers were inspired by the television show Person of Interest, this is not true, as the show first aired in 2011. Ubisoft Montreal began development on Watchdogs as early as 2009, 2 years earlier. In fact, the game's senior producer Dominic Guay claims he had never even watched the show during the game's development period. Number 11. While the subject matter of Watchdogs is less science fiction and more like the technology versus privacy debate people are faced with in society today, creative director Johannes Morin stated that he and his team did not create the game to send out a political message or to start up a discussion. Morin believes that it's great if people can learn where technology is leading and ultimately form their own opinions on the subject matter. Number 12. Despite the fact that the game features the standard mechanics of a third-person shooter, Morin wanted to give the players more options to deal with Aiden's targets than just putting a bullet in their head. He really wanted the players to stalk Aiden's prey, learn more about them, and formulate their own opinion on whether or not someone can be reasoned with, or if maybe a more permanent solution is necessary. Do you want to pay the target off, or do you really want to be that monster that leaves 3 children without a father? We won't judge you, to your face. Number 13. Johnathan Morin decided not to go the realistic route with hacking after seeing how players became bored with the super repetitive hacking minigames found in titles like BioShock and Deus Ex Human Revolution. He wanted to incorporate something that would both speed up and smoothen the gameplay. Number 14. To achieve the utmost realism with the game's hacking mechanics, Ubisoft Montreal worked closely with the Russian antivirus firm Kaspersky Lab. The developers would frequently send Kaspersky their designs, which the firm would review and either deem it plausible or science fiction. Number 15. According to Johannes Morin, they decided to limit the hacking mechanic to a single button to make things simpler and more enjoyable for the player, not wanting to burden them with the worries of how to use these mechanics in addition to when and why to use them. Number 16. It was decided that Watchdogs would be prioritized to the 8th generation of consoles, so Ubisoft built a new engine in-house called Disrupt. The Disrupt engine was actually intended to be used in a driving game, but the developers soon realized it was better for what they were trying to achieve with Watchdogs. Number 17. Watchdogs will run a bit differently depending on your console of choice. Playing the game on PlayStation 4 will run the game at 900p, while Xbox One runs the game at 792p. Watchdogs runs at 30 FPS on both consoles. While the developers regret having this limitation, they said it was done in order to build and run the massive city of Chicago that they envisioned. It is a pretty massive city. Number 18. Because the game was prioritized for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 versions of the game are slightly lacking in comparison to their 8th generation counterparts. The more subtle difference is that the 7th gen versions of the game can't generate as many NPCs on screen at once, while the much bigger hole is the lack of competitive multiplayer mode present in all other versions of the game. Number 19. Watch Dogs was set to have a companion mobile app that could be used in the game's single-player mode to aid the player. This wound up being scrapped midway through development, with the app being completely retooled to become a component of a competitive game mode in which the console player and smartphone player face off against each other. The console player must race through a series of checkpoints, while the dreaded smartphone player attempts to stop them using hacks that trigger traps and obstacles to impede their foe's progress. Number 20. Footage of early Watchdog builds included a reputation bar that was divided into more parts, meaning there were more ranks initially meant to be included in the game. One rank seen early in footage was Sentinel. Number 21. The game's cinematically cut scenes were directed by filmmaker Kun Chang, and done through a process known as performance capture, in which real actors are used on a soundstage, with their movements being converted into the game's models via motion capture. Over 120 minutes of footage were shot for the game's cinematics. Number 22. Watch Dogs wasn't Kun Chang's first Ubisoft rodeo. He's previously worked on other Ubisoft titles like Prince of Persia: The Two Thrones, Assassin's Creed Unity, Splinter Cell, and Far Cry 3. In other words, he's a pro. Number 23. Lead story designer Kevin Short has stated that the NPC profiles in the game are so numerous, you'll never run into the same one twice. Number 24. Watch Dogs' musical score was composed by Brian Reitzel, known for his contributions to films like The Virgin Suicides and for scoring the TV show Hannibal. Number 25. The game was originally intended to release in November 2013, but was pushed back to give the team more time to polish the game, specifically in making the city feel more authentic, with tweaks to the information the profiler generates, as well as recording even more dialogue for the city's NPCs. Number 26. Since the game takes place in Chicago, and the developers were hell-bent on authenticity, the team traveled to the Windy City itself to record countless lines of dialogue for the game's NPCs. The team utilized 2 studios for 6 straight weeks. So, adult summer camp? Number 27. Protagonist Aiden Pierce was voiced by actor Noam Jenkins, who's known for playing Michael Marks in Saw 2 and Saw 4. Playing Aiden is the first voice acting role Noam has picked up in his 23-year acting career. Number 28. Aiden's mentor-turned-enemy, Damian Branks, was voiced by Daniel Cash, who's appeared in films like Aliens, Mama, and the 2014 RoboCop remake. Number 29. Anna Hopkins, the voice actress behind Aiden's sister, Nicole Pierce, is no stranger to getting caught in the crossfire of vigilantism. She's previously played Oliver Queen's former lover Samantha Clayton on both Arrow and The Flash. Number 30. Bloom Corporation's former whistleblower, Raymond T-Bone Kenny, was played by film actor Josh Tench. Tench's resume boasts such films as Watchmen and Brokeback Mountain. Number 31. Watch Dogs actually has a connection to Ubisoft's Assassin's Creed series. In Assassin's Creed 4, you're introduced to the CEO of Abstergo Entertainment, a shady dude named Oliver Garneau. Garneau disappears to attend a supposed shareholders meeting in Chicago, though it's implied that Garneau never made it to this meeting and was instead captured by the Assassin's Brotherhood. Watch Dogs shows us his fate in the criminal convoy mission Requiescat in Pace, in which Aiden takes down the CEO himself. Upon scanning him, you'll see his status as targeted by the Brotherhood, and mention patented genomes, genetic memory manipulation, sketchy pharmaceuticals, and basically all practices of his corporation. Number 32. The Assassin's Creed-based mission's name, Requiescat in Pace, is a reference to assassin Ezio Auditore de Firenze. After killing a major target in Assassin's Creed 2 Brotherhood, Ezio respectfully prays for his target, Requiescat in Pace, or Rest in Peace in English. Number 33. The Assassin's Creed references don't end there. Another mission in the game will have you spying on a father and son playing a video game, but not just any video game, mind you. They're in the midst of watching a cutscene in which you can clearly hear the buttery Italian voice of Ezio Auditore. Number 34. The connection between Assassin's Creed and Watch Dogs goes both ways. During the modern day segments of Assassin's Creed 4, you could find an email chain that reveals that Abstergo Entertainment had been contacted by Bloom, creator of the CTOS surveillance technology found in Watch Dogs. Number 35. In one of the game's many trailers, a man can be seen dancing in his apartment. His profile reveals that he's a clerk in a video game store who had his name legally changed to Eddie Kenway, a reference to the protagonist of Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. Number 36. The Templar run government-run, assassins-hating corporation Abstergo once employed many of Chicago's people, which you'll see when you occasionally scan individuals who are listed as being former Abstergo employees. At least they learned the error of their ways. Number 37. Tired of all the Assassin's Creed references? Ubisoft isn't. The bottom portion of Clara Lily's chest tattoo resembles an iconic design of the Abstergo logo from Assassin's Creed. Number 38. Don't get too excited over these references. Ubisoft's not trying to create a Ubisoft expanded universe of some sort with their properties. According to Assassin's Creed writer Darby McDevitt, the two franchises don't exist in the same universe, only in your Desmond Aiden fanfictions. Devin claims the connective tissue is nothing more than fun little non-canonical Easter eggs. Number 39. Watchdogs contains 65 unique vehicles throughout the whole game, from cars to motorcycles to boats. Unfortunately, you can't customize your sweet ride. Number 40. Clara Lille is of French-Canadian descent, as is evident in her speech. She'll often use swear words that only Quebecers say, like Calisse. Fact 41. It's entirely possible to complete the game without killing anybody, except for the game's 3-man antagonist. But honestly, what fun would that be? Number 42. Many of the weapons from Watchdogs are taken from other Ubisoft titles, like Far Cry 3's U100 LMG. Unfortunately, Aiden is unable to obtain a pair of hidden blades. Number 43. 2 keychains of Rainbow Dash and Trixie from My Little Pony can be found inside some of the cars that Aiden drives. Trixie is even sporting Aiden's clothes. Number 44. Actress Aisha Tyler has a cameo in the game during the mission Wrench in the Works. Her database profile lists her not only as an actor, author, and host, but as an enthusiast of both gaming and bourbon. In the off chance you have no idea why you should be so thrilled to see a virtual Aisha in Watchdogs, she's known for such roles as Lana Kane from the TV show Archer. She also hosted Ubisoft's press conference at E3 2012, at which Watchdogs was first revealed to the public. Number 45. Aisha's not the only celeb visiting Chicago during the events of Watchdogs. You may also run into NASCAR Penske Racing team member Brad Keselowski. Hopefully he'll be on foot. Number 46. Many of the NPCs throughout the game are references to characters from popular movies and TV shows. One of the most recognizable is Gadolero Blanco, a man diagnosed with terminal cancer whose job title is that of a laundry manager. When you take into consideration that his name translates from Spanish to English as Walter White, you'll see that he manages a very different kind of laundry service than what's legally allowed. Number 47. Famous martial arts and God on Earth Chuck Norris also makes an appearance in Watchdogs. His profile lists his occupation as busker. Other than that, there's no other dirt on old Chuck, probably because Bloom Corporation doesn't want a roundhouse kick to their collective faces. Number 48. One way the Bloom Corporation won over the population of Chicago with CTOS was by installing free Wi-Fi hotspots throughout the city of Chicago. No one can resist free Wi-Fi! Number 49. Bloom is the German word for flower. This is referenced in the corporation's logo, which resembles a flower. Number 50. There is a real-life website for Bloom Corporation's CTOS system, chicago-ctos.com. Marketing or not, Watchdogs was already eerily close enough to real life as is. Number 51. In Mission 1 Act 3 of the campaign, you'll meet T-Bone in a bar. In this bar, you can find a moose head mounted on the wall. Aiden can interact with the moose head, prompting it to momentarily come to life and tell the hacker some amusing jokes. Don't worry, his jokes are better than that. Number 52. If you head on over to the texture patch in the clothing store in the Parker Square district, you'll find a fish mounted to the wall. Much like the moose, if you interact with this fish, you'll be treated to a musical performance that would give Kanye West a run for his money. It's the greatest fish rapper of all time! Number 53. T-Bone is a pretty avid gamer with quite the impressive collection in his bunker, the two most prominent games being Assassin's Creed 2 and Far Cry 3. You know, just in case you forgot it was Ubisoft that made Watchdogs. Number 54. You can occasionally find graffiti of the internet's famous boogeyman, Slenderman, on alleyway walls. This is eerily appropriate if you think about it, as Slenderman plays on the common fear that people have of being watched, a fear dialed up to 10 by the invention of the CTOS. Or we could just be looking into this too deeply. Number 55. Aiden's vigilantism hasn't gone unnoticed by the citizens of the Big Brother-fied Chicago. Fortunately for Aiden, the public sees him as a hero for the most part, and will even snap a picture of him if you stand around long enough. Number 56. If Aiden is seen suspiciously sprinting towards the crowds of Chicago in broad daylight, a citizen will occasionally shout, "Run, Forrest, run!" a reference to the Tom Hanks film Forrest Gump. This reference also appears in another Ubisoft hit, Far Cry 3. Number 57. The profiler can reveal some pretty embarrassing things about the citizens of Chicago. While one may have a clown fetish, another may spend a good chunk of their money on hentai. Some very powerful people even believe that Jesus was an alien. Number 58. Aiden's nephew can occasionally be seen playing a game on his tablet. That game being Ubisoft's very own Child of Light, a much more appropriate game than those copies of Assassin's Creed in his room. Number 59. The game's original title, Nexus, is hidden in the game as an Easter egg. Occasionally, you'll find a car with the license plate N3X-U5, with the 3 replacing the E and the 5 replacing the S. Take away the dash, and you've got Nexus. Number 60. T-Bone is the founding member of the hacking vigilante collective known as DedSec. He's also Bloom Corporation's public enemy number 1. Sorry, Aiden. Number 61. DedSec was inspired by the real-life internet hacktivist collective known as Anonymous. The developers see DedSec as an organized and disorganized organization with a Celtically set structure. Number 62. The city hotspot, known as the Forever Sculpture, looks nearly identical to Chicago's real-life sculpture known as the Cloud Gate, which resides in the city's Millennium Park. The sculpture is more commonly referred to as the Bean. Number 63. The mission that appears in the E3 demo appears in the final game as the default condition. Whereas Aiden's mission is to take out Joseph DeMarco in the presentation, he must now take out the hacker, Default. Number 64. Default wears a mask resembling that of a rat, which itself resembles the look of a musician Deadmau5, who wears a mask resembling a mouse. Number 65. When playing through the mission, the default condition, you'll hack into Default's server in order to profile him, but his name and occupation instead appear in binary code. The code simply translates to ROFL, which is the popular acronym for rolling on the floor laughing, possibly at the expense of players who wasted their time translating the message. Good thing you don't have to now. Number 66. During the mission, Grandma's Bulldog, you can use the surveillance cameras to spy on the gang in their hideout. In one of the rooms, you can find some of the members playing a collection of arcade cabinets, 2 of them being cabinets for Ubisoft's Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon. Number 67. The town of Pawnee actually exists in real life, only it's located near central Illinois and not right outside of Chicago. It's also the town used in TV comedy Parks and Rec. Number 68. If you head into the wilderness and follow a set of train tracks, you'll end up at a dead end inside a tunnel. Inside the tunnel, you'll find a switch control, which, if you activate it, will generate a blue anarchy symbol on the tunnel wall. The purpose of this symbol in the game is currently unknown. Number 69. When you're in Jackson's room, that's Aiden's nephew, you can find a toy of a rabbit, former enemies of Rayman, and Ubisoft's answer to the Minions. Number 70. The game's spider tanks closely resemble the Spider Slayer robots fought by Spider-Man in the animated series and comic books. Number 71. Throughout the game, you can find electronic signs that appear to be a blank slate upon first glance, but if you hack into them, one of over 60 messages will generate on the screen. These include, "Yo dog, I heard you like signs. You mad bro? Never gonna give you up. Herp derp." And "I can has cheeseburger?" Go discover the other 55 on your own. Number 72. 4 years into its development, Watchdogs was first unveiled to the public with a presentation at E3 2012. Ubisoft released their debut trailer on the very same day. Number 73. After its unveiling at E3 2012, Watchdogs received 82 E3 award nominations. The game took home 2 awards for Special Commendation for Innovation and Special Commendation for Graphics, the second of which is ironic because the game would have received severe criticism upon its release over the downscaled visuals in comparison to the acclaimed E3 demo. Number 54. It was announced by Ubisoft that they are currently developing a film adaptation of Watch Dogs. While you may be doubtful that this will happen, since film adaptations of games like Mass Effect, Halo, Bioshock, and Gears of War often tend to sink into development hell, Ubisoft recently finished creating an Assassin's Creed film, so there's a pretty solid chance that you'll see the world of Watch Dogs leap on the silver screen soon. Number 75. The Watch Dogs film was announced before the game itself was even released. Very cocky move on Ubisoft's part. Number 76. It was revealed that the Watch Dogs film had hired screenwriting duo Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick to write the script. For those of you unfamiliar with Hollywood's stable of screenwriters, these are the dudes behind Deadpool. And this is the part where you become filled with ridiculous levels of optimism and excitement. Number 77. To encourage players to pre-order the game from GameStop, they gave away a limited edition poster illustrated by Chicago-based artist Alex Ross. Ross aimed to emphasize the very essence of Chicago in the piece, placing the Willis Tower, more famously known as the Sears Tower, in the background along with elevated railroad tracks. Number 78. Ubisoft created an online app called Digital Shadow, which analyzed the user's Facebook profile to show what information they've shared with the public and how it could be used against them. What was once intended to be a fun little marketing gimmick actually helped inform the public about how vulnerable their Facebook profile could make them to hackers. Number 79. Watch Dogs was released on May 27, 2014 for PC, Xbox One, PS4, Xbox 360, and PS3. It would go on to sell over 4 million copies by the end of its first week alone, which is more than impressive for a new IP. Number 80. It was evident to Ubisoft that they had a new franchise on their hands after Watch Dogs broke the record for the most day one sales of any Ubisoft game ever released. Number 81. Watch Dogs broke records across the pond as well, having had the biggest launch for a new gaming IP in the UK, beating out former champion LA Noire by selling more than half that LA Noire did when it launched back in 2011. This record was shattered by Bungie's MMO FPS hybrid Destiny just a few months later. Number 82. An ebook set in the Watch Dogs world called Watchdog Dark Clouds was released the same day as the game. It's set after the events of the game, but follows the story of the new hacker Mick Wolf. It was written by author Jamsheree, who's no stranger into adapting iconic video games into novelizations, having previously served as the scribe for the novel Bioshock Rapture. Number 83. It was later announced that Watch Dogs would be coming to the Nintendo Wii U in November 2014, nearly 6 months after its initial release on other platforms. Producer Dominic Guay went on record saying that the Wii U gamepad was a perfect fit for Watch Dogs. Number 84. Watch Dogs was the last mature-rated Ubisoft game to be released on the Nintendo Wii U. This was because the Assassin's Creed series had sold so poorly on the platform. Number 85. Upon the game's release, players were disappointed to find that the retail version of Watch Dogs didn't look quite as nice as the one shown at E3. While Ubisoft claimed that there were no differences in the retail version of the game, players of the PC versions were able to find these superior visuals in the game files and apply it with the help of a community-made mod, creating an experience much closer to the E3 demo. What's odd is that applying these settings do not hinder the game's performance too much, so the reason as to why the visuals were downgraded in the first place is a bit of a head-scratcher. Number 86. A campaign expansion pack for Watch Dogs was released in September 2014 called Watch Dogs Bad Blood. Set a year after the events of the base game, players assume the beard of Raymond T-Bone Kenny and 10 new missions across a variety of new playable areas across the city of Chicago. Number 87. By the end of 2014, Watch Dogs shipped 10 million copies, just 7 months after it initially launched. Watch Dogs was now the alpha dog of video games. Number 88. Watch Dogs 2 was accidentally revealed by Ubisoft's employee's LinkedIn profile well ahead of its official announcement. The employee quickly removed the experience from his resume, but not quickly enough for the internet to capture the proof and hand it to the press. You'd think developers working on a game about computer systems would know better. Number 89. Following the footsteps of Assassin's Creed sequels, Watch Dogs 2 will feature a new character in a new city. Players will assume the role of hacker Marcus Holloway as he seeks to liberate his city of San Francisco from the dreaded CTOS 2.0. Number 90. In Watch Dogs 2, CTOS has evolved into the cleverly titled CTOS 2.0. Unlike its previous counterpart, which was used to operate the city's infrastructure, 2.0 was designed to control people's lives, eradicating what little privacy people had left. Technology is evil, guys. Number 91. CTOS 2.0 is so sophisticated that every hacking attempt online is known about and traceable back to the hacker, so a proper punishment can be doled out. This is exactly how Marcus Holloway's story begins, as the system catches wind of the hacking activities and wrongly accuses him of a crime he didn't commit. Marcus will now stop at nothing to remove himself from this Big Brother-inspired system once and for all. Number 92. CTOS 2.0 was first announced by Bloom, not in Watch Dogs 2, but in the original game after the final mission is completed. Ubisoft was very confident this would become a $1 million franchise. Number 93. A major reason the developers chose San Francisco for Watch Dogs 2 was due to the diversity the city had to offer in terms of location. From the natural preserve of Marin County to the Golden Gate Bridge, San Francisco provides a variety of places to explore. Number 94. The profiler in Watch Dogs 2 is so sophisticated and invasive that a citizen's profiles show how they are currently feeling, with their emotions being represented by an emoji. How does it know that? Number 95. A major difference between Aiden and Marcus is their personality. Whereas Aiden is the serious, dark vigilante character, Marcus is more outgoing, fun, and free-spirited. According to the developers, Marcus's personality is a reflection of the overall attitude of the San Francisco Bay Area itself. Number 96. If you haven't played the original Watch Dogs, but are very much interested in Part 2, you may want to play the original game first. Despite the fact that it takes place in a new location with a new hero, Aiden's actions set the stage for the storyline in Part 2. You may even see some old friends along the way. Number 97. Fan favorite character T-Bone will be returning in Watch Dogs 2 to help Marcus Holloway combat the CTOS 2.0 menace. Number 98. Marcus's online handle is retro because he loves all things classic. From classic hip-hop and R&B to classic electronics and old-school hacking culture, he's also a big fan of ancient horror and science fiction films, something that resonates with other members of DedSec. Number 99. The profiler that Aiden uses resembles that of an iPhone 4, while Marcus's profiler more closely resembles an iPhone 5. It's the little things, folks. Number 100. While Watch Dogs made it impossible to complete the game without killing at least 3 people, Watch Dogs 2 gives the player more creative license over how Marcus handles scenarios and his enemies. You can either go full-on pacifist and complete the game without harming a soul, or you can give Frank Castle a run for his money and send every criminal to the Great Penitentiary in the sky. Number 101. The morality system has been removed for Watch Dogs 2 because the developers felt like such a mechanic guilt trips the player, therefore controlling their motivations and actions. Now you can run over crowds of people in a car with a clear conscience, you psycho. Number 102. Ubisoft used to have a fascination with utilizing towers that would reveal a portion of the map in a playable world. This was evident in Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and obviously Watch Dogs. Luckily, Ubisoft is doing away with that tedious mechanic and replacing it with a system that makes sense. Every square inch of the map will become available as you explore the city of San Francisco. Number 103. Progression in Watch Dogs 2 works a bit differently than it did in the original. Playing up the whole freedom to play as you want angle, progression in the game will not necessarily be tied down to story beats, but will instead be tied to obtaining followers. followers. Followers are fellow hackers that will assist you in your mission to take down CTOS 2.0, and they function much like XP does in an RPG. You'll gain more followers for every mission and side quests you accomplish. The more followers you have, the more powerful you become, and the more powerful you become, the closer you become to completing your ultimate goal. Number 104. The multiplayer mode has been merged into the single player experience of Watchdogs 2. This setting is optional, of course. If you do choose to spice up your single player experience with the online component, you'll be met with other players on the fly called intruders, similar to the Dark Souls intruders in Dark Souls. In the case of Watchdogs 2, you can either work with other hackers cooperatively or go full bounty hunter and hunt down this intruder for a handsome reward. But beware, what goes around comes around. A price can just as easily be put on your own head. Number 105. In Watch Dogs 2, you'll be able to hack into vehicles and remote control them from a distance, like an RC car. So when you accidentally crash the vehicle into a building, killing dozens, at least you'll be safe. Number 106. Hacktivism is said to be the central theme of Watch Dogs 2, aka beating the powers that be at their own game by leaking their private data to the public. And finally, number 107. Much like the first Watch Dogs, Part 2's development team brought in real-life hackers to contribute not only to the game's hacking mechanics, but to the writing as well. Specifically, the terminology and slang that hackers actually use in real life. These real hackers also told the developers what should be hacked in the story and how it would be in real life. Thanks for watching 107 Facts About Watch Dogs. Did we leave out any Easter eggs? Comment below and let us know. We have new videos dropping every week, so let us know what game you want us to cover next. And if you like getting more from your games, subscribe to the Leaderboard, where we help you game smarter.